Listen, buddy, you talk with yourself. You're not listening to me.
Okay,
Again,
James, I'm trying so hard to listen to you, but you keep spewing the same crap again and again. Let's try again. One more try. What am I not getting? Let's go to James from Canada. James, how you doing? What do you got?
Hi. Listen, I have a lot of problems with what you say because you can't say that history doesn't matter and then say facts that are not really facts. Now, as a Canadian, it's hard for me to support Trump. You can understand that. But even a broken clock tells the right time twice a day. And he doesn't lie when he says that Zelensky that the war didn't start with Putin invasion. But nobody did care about Ukraine when pro-West army forces were killing pro-Russian Ukraine. Ukraine divided between the West and Russia. So just telling the facts,
So again, I appreciate the fact that you're using the word facts a lot, right? Which is a good word. But now let's try and actually apply them, right? So are you claiming that Russia didn't actually start this war?
I'm saying that you need to understand what was the reaction to. The same with Hamas. I was growing up in Israel. And I was growing up Zionist, and I was believing facts and learn history until I was ready to see the big picture. And I'm not.
Yeah, but my concern is you don't really get the big picture. That's my concern. Is that you are look. All of this stuff has nuances, right? There are definitely things that you can say, and particularly when it comes to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, none of it justifies Hamas. None of it. So if you're going to say, well, you got to understand. No, I don't have to understand anything with regard to Hamas. I can understand why the Palestinian people feel oppressed. I can understand why the Palestinian people are very upset about what has happened as a result of Hamas. But I'm not going to understand Hamas. And I'm also not going to understand Putin in terms of why he invaded Ukraine. You can provide small little issues with regard to problems they've had in the past. None of it justifies Putin invading Ukraine. So can we at least agree on that?
No, because war is a continuum of a diplomacy. That's a failed diplomacy. You choose to choose sides. I didn't justify Hamas.
No, I choose to pick right and wrong. More broadly, but I get nuance. I'm not one of these people who doesn't understand nuance. But in some cases, there is a right and there is a wrong. And if you can't call it out, then you're part of the problem.
It's totally fine. That's your opinion. But what I'm trying to say is that you are choosing sides without fully understanding them.
Oh, no. Here's the thing, Jamie, here's the thing. You can criticize me for a lot of things. Not understanding the issues isn't one of them. I'm very well versed in both what happened in Ukraine and Russia and what happened in the Middle East. So you may disagree with me, but you're not. But you're not going to be able to get away with. Well, you just don't understand.
No, I didn't say that again. I'm saying that you say it doesn't matter. I'm quoting you. You
saying what doesn't matter?
Why Putin was doing what they did. You say
that's correct. Meaning that's right. I will tell you that with regard to Putin invading Ukraine, there is no why. It doesn't matter why, apart from the fact that he wants the power, he wants the land, he wants the control, he wants the natural resources. And for you to sort of say, well, you need to understand more broadly, that's becoming a Putin apologist, period.
Again, you can say about me whatever you want because it's not true. I'm not really a Putin apologist. But what I'm trying to say, you are the one who says that it doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter why Hamas started doing this and what was before that. It does matter. I'm not saying it's okay, but it's very easy to just say it doesn't matter. These are the bad guys.
But did you listen to a word I said, James? Did you listen to a word I said? I said I can understand some of the anger. I get that certain things, particularly when it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian, much more so than Ukraine and Russia, that I get anger, etc. But the minute you start saying you need to understand that to somehow appreciate the context around what happens, you become an apologist. I understand that if you want to tell me, look, you need to understand Hamas to stop something like that from happening again.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But what you're not going to convince me is somehow that appreciating the history, because I can get into the whole history of the Middle East conflict starting pre-1948, and I can give you a version that is nothing like what the Palestinians are claiming about what happened. I'm not going to do that for these purposes, but I will tell you that when it comes to what happened on October 7th, you don't need more than Hamas bad, Hamas wrong, Hamas terrible. Now, if you want to ask me, do you also criticize some of Israel's response? The answer is yes, I do. I criticize Israel to some degree, but I completely understand why they did what they did. I think there are certain instances where Israel made mistakes, but I think that Israel's response is completely expected and warranted on its broadest level. But that doesn't mean, oh, Israel, all good Israel. No. It means Hamas all bad. It doesn't mean Palestinian people bad. It means Hamas all bad. You can't agree with me, Hamas all bad?
Listen, buddy, you talk with yourself. You're not listening to me.
Okay,
Again,
James, I'm trying so hard to listen to you, but you keep spewing the same crap again and again. Let's try again. One more try. What am I not getting?
That's what I'm saying. That you need to. You can't say history doesn't matter.
Would you stop with the history doesn't matter? I just gave you a lecture on the history. Let's forget about the history doesn't matter. I'm saying in the context of Putin invading Ukraine or Hamas attacking Israel, the history isn't relevant, period.
Buddy, you think you can preach Israeli about Israel history? Seriously?
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Do I think I can preach about, what was the comment? I missed it.
So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm pro-Israel. And when Israel
but again, I don't care if you're pro-Israel or not. I'm trying to focus on one issue, which is you keep telling me that I can't draw broad conclusions, that certain things are just bad and wrong. And you're telling me, well, you're just trying to identify good guys and bad guys. I'm not. I'm trying to just identify the bad guys. It doesn't mean Ukraine's all good. It means Putin was the bad guy. It means Hamas was the bad guy. It doesn't mean that Israel hasn't done anything wrong. It doesn't mean that Ukraine hasn't done anything wrong, but it means in the context of invading in 2014 and Hamas attacking on October 7, 2023, there is no good guy. There was just the bad guy. Final word.
Let me just tell you that Canada, with its indigenous and with its politics, always tried to look the other side. For me, that's why Canada is more peaceful than the U.S. and Israel and Ukraine. For me, personally, that's why I moved from Israel to Canada. So saying things like that and being so divisive only makes wars. And I was a soldier, and I was a soldier, Israeli soldier in the West Bank. And this what also promotes wars, just to say we are the right one, they're wrong.
No, but listen, but James, you're misquoting me again. You see, this is the problem, man. You're so caught up in this, you're not listening. I just said it doesn't mean Israel's all right. See, that's the difference. That's not what I said. I didn't say that, and I didn't say Ukraine's all right, right?
You did say Putin is all wrong.
Yes.
You did say Hamas is all wrong.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I did.
What I'm trying to say, if you put someone with the back to the wall, they're going to react, and you just said
No, this is after the fact. Putin's back wasn't to the wall. Hamas's back wasn't to the wall. They made decisions to make things worse. Both of them. Look, again, Putin's is completely unjustifiable. I mean, and so is Hamas's. But Putin just did it purely for power. Hamas has support of Palestinian people. They went about it in a horrible way that will forever make the Palestinians' lives worse. But again, I am not saying Israel right, Israel great, Ukraine right, Ukraine great, but I am saying Putin wrong, Hamas wrong. That's the difference in what I'm saying. But we're going to go in circles here.
The fact is 5 years before October 7th, Hamas tried diplomacy to get a deal for Tahadiya and take off his prisoners, which are women and children.
Yeah.
Also, the prisoners, women and children. 5 years, and Israel was disregarding.
Right. So therefore, look what you just did, right? And therefore, what? Therefore, I need to understand that to understand why Hamas raped and kidnapped people. That context somehow explains it to me. I understand Hamas is pissed off, but the minute you start trying to provide context to what they did on October 7th, you are justifying it instead of just condemning it and saying what they did is horrible and unjustifiable and nothing that led up to it can possibly provide the necessary context. That's the way you got to start the conversation if you want to be taken seriously. But what you can't do is suggest that I'm somehow saying I'm picking all the right and wrong. I'm picking the wrongs. I'm identifying what's clearly wrong and saying, let's go from there in the conversation. But fascinating conversation, by the way, James. Thank you. And I welcome and encourage you to call back in because I've appreciated the conversation. Let's go to Kendall in South Dakota. Kendall, how you doing? What's going on?
Yeah, I'd like to make the argument that Ukraine actually did start the war with a little bit of help from us. If you go back to when they, you can go back further in history, but where it really becomes relevant is when the Soviet Union broke up. Ukraine had most of Russia's nuclear weapons. Clinton made a treaty. There was a treaty to get rid of all the nuclear weapons out of Ukraine. Part of that treaty was Russia had a 99-year lease on that port in Sevastopol. I can't pronounce it right, but it's Russia's only warm water port. Tactically, Russia can never, ever give up that port. There's 0.00% chance Russia will go to nuclear war before they give up that port. During the Obama administration, that's when Russia took Crimea because they built that land bridge over there, and we were actually banging our Navy ships into that bridge. If you remember, there were news reports. And then Russia would fly their jets over our planes, like ridiculously low altitudes. We got very limited news coverage over that, but we actually banged some of our Navy ships into that bridge they built because there's no way Russia's ever going to give up that port. There's no way Russia's ever going to give up Crimea. That's what this whole war was all about, that port.
Wait. All right. So you've laid out what happened up till 2014, right? What is the possible explanation for what Putin did in 2022 or 20? Yeah, I think it's 2022.
Because they've been fighting. When Russia says they were fighting Nazis, they weren't lying. Russia sent in their little green men. They basically tore off the ignitia, the origin of country of the soldiers and sent their soldiers in, and they were actually fighting true, honest-to-God Nazis. If you go back to World War II...
Whoa. No. You're changing the subject. What possibly justified... No, I'm not. I don't want to hear about Russians fighting Nazis in 1945 because they did. I don't want to hear about that. And I also don't want to hear about the fact that Ukraine has some Nazis. Ukraine does have some Nazis. But you know what? Vladimir Zelensky isn't one of them. So what is the justification for Russia having invaded Ukraine recently?
NATO.
So that justifies it. So to be clear, because Zelensky started getting closer with NATO, that is a justification for invading Ukraine, correct?
Have you looked at the map, how close fucking Ukraine
I
is?
know how the map works. Again, answer my question. Don't talk to me about maps. Answer my question. So the fact that Zelensky gets closer with NATO to you justifies invading Ukraine and trying to take it over.
Look what we did with Cuba.
Don't tell me. Don't change the subject. Answer my question. Yes or no?
If the shoe was...
Not if. No, I don't want to hear about Cuba. I don't want to hear about 1945. I want you to answer my question. Does the fact you mentioned NATO, you said that was the cause. Does Zelensky getting closer to NATO justify Putin invading that country?
Yes, because...
Okay, there you go. Your answer is yes. Fair enough. You want to finish it? Go ahead. Let him finish.
They've been fighting a war They've been fighting a war since 2014. Crimea.
No, they haven't. And the bottom look, and so your point is it's time for the Russians to finish it. The fact that they took this land from them and the fact that the Ukrainians were pissed about what was happening in Crimea, it justifies it because the Russians needed to finish this thing up. Come on, they started it. They needed to finish it up. Of course they did, which is, by the way, a different explanation than NATO. But Kendall, look, as I say with everyone else, I love these conversations. So can I count on you to call back?
The world. And acknowledge that Russia has strategic interests that they're never going to give up. And we just stop meddling in stuff. You allow Russia
It's our fault. No, it's our fault. It's our fault. It's the U.S.'s fault. It's the U.S.'s fault that Putin invaded Ukraine. Okay, I got it. Kendall, thank you. I want these conversations. I want these back and forths. I want you guys to take me on. I want you to challenge me.